I know you guys were just talking in the panel about the possibility of maybe doing a Hannibal movie wrapped up. Would you consider fan funding that with a Kickstarter or something along those lines, or would you go traditional financing?
They've approached me, so I just don't know, what model we're looking at, whether we're still in entertaining television or the timing with Brian and the cast and everything. So it's all over. It's not that
early days.
Yes.
I have a question. Since Brian, you're supposed to start work on American Gods or have already started, I mean, if Hannibal does get picked up for another season or even a film, how are you going to balance the two?
I would find a way.
Okay. You heard it? When? Great.
I would find a way.
Well, Richard's here, but what can you tease about more of what's to come with his character on this season?
I'll let Richard answer that.
There's a lot of body, I noticed on that. Yeah, I don't remember spending so much time with that on clothes on. But no, you get 6 episodes of that story arc, which really has only been explored in 2 movies, probably 90 minutes at a time. So it's a real chance to go to that book, which is incredibly detailed, and look at the backstory of where Francis Delvey came from and how he's emerged as this strange, this man that's complicated and dark, and at the same time innocent and romantic. And so hopefully we're going to open that story.
Courtney?
So Fannibals don't understand why the show doesn't have a home yet. What are some of the challenges that you're up against?
Some of the challenges are that once NBC passes on a 4th season, that kind of dismantles a lot of our international funding. So a lot of international channels need an American broadcaster to say, like, this is the American TV show on this network, and that gives them a platform to which they can sell the show. Without that, we lose our Sony component, which is also our AXN channels, and so we've lost a lot of our channels all over the world. So that's one of the big hurdles. We don't just lose NBC, we lose AXN Latin, AXN Japan, AXN Korea, AXN Brazil. We lose all of those. So then it's back to square one to figure out a financial model for the show.
Can this season, the season finale, serve as a series finale as it stands right now?
Yes.
Yes, if it had to, it could. And it would be satisfying in that respect. It could also serve as a good jumping off point for another season.
If a broadcaster said, we want you guys, but you're going to have to change this and this, how far are you ready to change your show to survive?
Totally.
Well, the idea for season 4.
It would be a very weird thing for them to say, though.
Yeah, we like you, but change. The idea for season 4 is a reinvention of the Hannibal program dynamic in a huge way. So there is an opportunity to reinvent the show as well as the format you tell the show.
For Will, we've always kind of been in his psyche, especially in the 1st season and the 2nd season. But we've always kind of known where the line of reality and fantasy of what is in his head, we've always kind of known where that is. And with this new season, we've kind of seen that blur. I mean, when I watched that first, when I watched those episodes where you genuinely think people who are alive are not, they aren't alive.
Right.
And how is that playing that for you, Hugo? Like, how has that been going, and have you been preparing differently for that as opposed to some of the other seasons and kind of pushing it, or?
I think that, partially because we were totally free from that, weekly crime of the week, that we would call it, that more procedural element, and Brian was able to write in a much more free-form kind of way, and as a result was able to explore that kind of looping, circular nature of grief and trauma. Such that it took me a while after reading the first 2-3 scripts to really, understand what I at least understood him to be doing with the nature of time, and really, so it did take me a while to kind of dig down into what I understood to be rattling around in Will's head, different, really provocative stuff. The kind of meditations on religion and belief and so on. But it wasn't a different guy, exactly. I mean, clearly Will's always had that capacity to create a reality rather than be a victim of an imagined reality. Just taken to a greater extreme.
Brian, can you talk a little about how this season was kind of an adaptation of Hannibal, the book, and then you're doing Red Dragon, so you're kind of playing with the chronology a little bit, and why you decided to do it that way?
Well, part of it was, I felt like if we were to sustain the Italian chapter for an entire season, there would be episodes that might tread a little water. And you know, we had episodes still that treaded some water and then got into some psychological stuff. But it was also an awareness of the scythe over our heads, and NBC has been so fantastic and supportive of us in allowing us to tell a story that no other network would allow us to do. And part of that gentleman's agreement with Jen Salke, who's the president of entertainment, was I will let you do the show that you want to do, and I can protect the show as long as we're above a 0.5. And once we went below a 0.5 rating, I knew Jen would be able to protect us from the schedulers at NBC who were like, we can't sell this at upfronts because nobody's going to buy advertising at top dollar rates for a 0.5 rating. So I was aware that this was going to be our last season in many ways, so I kind of wanted to get as much in there, and I thought if we don't do Red Dragon now, we might not be able to.
Agree?
Yeah, going back to what you said one moment ago, the procedural element of the show, is that something either of you, Hugh or Brian, missed at all, or was it kind of like a means to an end to get where you are now?
You know, in some ways, I suppose, playing characters and in this world that could be so kind of floating, like occasionally being tethered down, was not such a bad thing. That said, like I remember, you know, you approaching that first season and having really worked to figure out who this guy was and what was underlying all of his kind of angst and, you know, so on. There were only so many ways I could be emotionally affected by these crimes. But you can because Brian's writing is always emotional. There's always, if you dig down, you can find it. But you know, any procedural, certain elements that are repeated.
Clinical.
And clinical, yeah. And so trying to find the emotional response of the character to that felt like it could have become like a bit forced had we continued that way.
And it was fun for us in the writer's room to not have that as a crutch for the storytelling, because so often when we were breaking those stories, it was like, okay, now a body has to drop, and what's the metaphor of the death tableau? And it was a spine to a lot of the storytelling when we jerked that spine out of the body, like the Predator. It kind of left us with this slightly amorphous yet emotionally sound psychological tale that didn't have that buttressing, and so it was fun for me as somebody who loves the pretension in Thomas Harris's writing, and it's so beautiful and purple and articulate that I wanted this season to smack of Thomas Harris in a way that we hadn't in the first two seasons.
In the back.
I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about, I absolutely love the Hannibal episode that didn't have Hannibal, where it focused on all the characters he basically had broken, and how the transformation of Alana and Frederick Hilton kind of came to be, and how that affected the way you acted alongside with them.
Can you ask that again? I was trying to, I got lost in the question.
Sorry. The episode where you focused on all the characters that Hannibal had basically broken,
right.
Especially Alana, who I just was amazed by that wonderful performance that she did.
She was great.
She was so great, and Raoul as Frederick and the whole thing. I just absolutely loved it. I was wondering how if you could talk to the changes in her character as well as Frederick's, because he's just looking for allies to sort of produce a Justice League of Doom for Hannibal Lecter. Right. And Alana as well, just that change to her was so great. I love it.
It was really about owing Caroline more than what we had done with her character in the second season. She became the girlfriend in many ways, and so she was triangulated against Will and Hannibal in a way that she was the girl, for lack of a better word. And the first thing I said to the writers when we sat down for season 3 is that it is our mission to make Alana the most interesting character on the show, to go through the biggest transformation. Because I felt like we owed it to Caroline, and I wanted to see how she was broken and how she reformed and how she found her strength again. And I knew Caroline would knock it out of the park. So I was inspired by her as an actress to give her more.
You also gave that mandate as the character debut to those 2 females.
You confirmed already that Amazon and Netflix passed on the show, but what about Hulu or Yahoo Screen?
They haven't passed yet, that I'm aware of.
If you could have the ending that you wanted to see between Hannibal and Will, what would it look like?
That's difficult. What I will say is that Brian, just in kind of casual conversation, maybe a few weeks before we finished filming the season that's airing right now, described, as we were kind of talking about how it was going to conclude this season, I mean, he then started to describe how he imagined that might play out in a prospective 4th season, feature film, whatever it might be at this stage. And it, as he already said, was such a different place for them to go. And I mean, all I can tell you is I just thought it sounded fascinating and really like almost a kind of amazing inversion and return to the first season, but a new kind of storytelling. So that's how I would like the story to end, at the very least. But again, like, you know, if we don't get past what we've shot, if that's the conclusion, I think it will be, you know, every season that we've shot so far has concluded in a way. As Ryan said, there was always like a sort of Damocles hanging over it, right? And with that in mind, it will be satisfying.
In the back.
Hi, Richard. How deep did you have to go in your research for a character like Francis Dollarhide, and how do you find the humanity in a character so twisted?
I think it's really down to Thomas Harris' writing. He really explores the childhood, the damaged child that he created in Francis Dollarhide, and it sort of doesn't track in a linear way, so you delve back into his past so you learn about